If you've ever gone on the internet and done a little bit of research about Neocaridinea dividi shrimp, you'll notice that a lot of articles talk about how hardy they are. Yet, if you talk to a lot of people who own these shrimp and try to keep them, many will tell you that they seem to die, seemingly for no reason whatsoever, and that they seem to be quite fragile and are super sensitive to water parameter changes. So, why is it that people say in the articles that they're hardy, yet some people say, that just isn't the case? I'm here to tell you that yes, they are really hardy, but not because of the reasons or in the ways that you might expect. Now, just to show you what's going on in this tank as an example, there is a baby shrimp right there on top of my rabbit snail. We have a fully buried female right here, and a bunch of other shrimp shrimping around. Some are up in the hornwort, etc. In order to explain to you why these are hardy, I need 3 tanks. And that's what we got right here. We have a tank right there, there, and there. These tanks are important because although they are different colors, all of these tanks contain shrimp. And each tank for these shrimp are Neocaridinea dividi, just a different color morph. That one is pumpkin orange, that one is neon yellow, and that one is dream blue. Now, despite the fact that they have all the same equipment and come with the same source water for minerals, they have different parameters. And I've done this on purpose to show you the wide variety of parameters that these guys can live in, which explains why people call them hardy. Now, this does not exclude the fact that you need a cycled tank. I mean, really cycled. You need to be able to convert ammonia to nitrite and then to nitrate super quick, because those are the things that will kill the shrimp. Okay? Even trace amounts of ammonia is a no-go. But that tends to be the case for a lot of aquatic creatures anyway. So, excluding the nitrogen cycle, we're going to talk about 4 different things that people debate about. Even on shrimp keeping forums, people will argue day and night about what to do. Now, the parameters I'm about to show you are considered extreme only because they conflict directly with a lot of different recommended guides on web pages on the internet. Now, here's the thing. All those web pages on the internet that give you the recommended parameters are based off of the waters that these shrimp come from in the wild. Once again, though, these shrimp are not in the wild. They are in your fish tank. And every fish tank is completely different. Even if they have the same equipment, their water chemistry will vary. The ability to adapt and thrive in the varying water conditions is what makes them hardy, provided that they are, in fact, cycled tanks. So let's talk about it. All right, so we're going to move to our control group right here and talk about this really quick. Now, I don't have a lot of pumpkin orange shrimp because I'm still building the colony from almost nothing, but here's a little guy right here. There's a little guy over there. There's one swimming around right here, you know. There's a lot of hair algae, and you might say, this tank is a little unkept. And you'd be right, because this is a control tank. This has had nothing done to it. Not even a water change for several months. And yet the shrimp are still alive. It is fully cycled, but the shrimp are fully alive, and they're shrimping around. Now, those water parameters, TDS, GH, KH, and pH. People assume if they are not super close to the recommended parameters that you find on those web pages, on all these different fish sites and shrimp sites, then they're simply going to die. And that there's nothing you can do about it unless you do drastic measures. And that they simply can't handle drastic changes or be, completely away from the norm. Well, let's start out with the most reasonable tank. This tank has water that is approximately 90% reverse osmosis water and 10% water from my well. Now, the well water directly from the hose, this green hose right here is directly from the well with no filtration, has a TDS of 800, a GH of approximately 22 degrees, a KH of 12 degrees, a pH of 8.2. Well, doesn't sound like it's very suitable for these shrimp, considering that The pH is supposed to be around 7. The GH is supposed to be around 7 or 8. KH maybe 5. TDS 250. That's around the general recommended parameters. So let's see what we're at amongst all the tanks. This is an HM Digital TDS 3. This is a pretty good TDS meter. It adjusts for temperature variations and everything. Can read up to 9,990 parts per million. We are at 310 in the Dream Blue Velvet tank, and as you saw, we have buried shrimp, baby shrimp, shrimp doing shrimpy things. Okay, next tank, Neon Yellows, same species, still have babies, still have pregger shrimp right there with berries under their swimmerets, so they're breeding. They eat their food a lot. What TDS are we at here? Well, it's about 530. Okay. This solution of water is, like I said, it's about 50% well water, 50% RO water, somewhere around there. Now let's go to our control tank. Once again, the tank that has had nothing done to it, and for the record, has had 0 deaths from any shrimp in the last 3-4 months. And if you're wondering if there was any shrimp deaths at all, well, I bought them from an online breeder, so the stress of shipping can be a problem. So that's how I lost some of them. But of the ones that you see, there are no deaths. What is the TDS? About 740, I'd call it. 740. Now that is a high TDS. There's no doubt about it. How the heck are they supposed to survive and live and thrive in this, That's what people are wondering. Well, it's because they're hardy. They can survive in a wide range of parameters. Let's face it. We have shrimp of the same species living and thriving. 700, 500, 300. They all do great. So what's the hooey? Now, okay, we didn't test the GH. I can tell you the GH in here is about 8, and the KH is about 5. pH is about 8. And there, GH in there is about 20. KH is about 10. pH is about 8.2. In here, there's it's somewhere in the middle of all that. But here's the thing. People forget one of the golden rules about fish, shrimp, snails, keeping any aquatic creature. It's called don't chase the pH. In fact, just don't chase the parameters at all. Well, I shouldn't say at all, but certain parameters you don't need to consistently change. Fish, shrimp, snails, they need stability. They need consistency. They need reliability. They need everything to be as stable as possible. They will adapt to whatever water it is you're trying to go for. The pH in my tanks is over 8. They recommend something more acidic, 7 or maybe 6.8. But I'm at 8.1, 8.2 in these tanks. They recommend a TDS of 200 to 250. I'm at nearly 800 in one of these tanks. They recommend a GH of 8 or so. I've got a GH of 22 in that tank. I got a GH of 8 in that tank. They can survive a wide gamut of parameters because I follow the simple rule. Don't fluctuate. Fluctuations in parameters is what puts stress on these creatures. If they have consistent parameters, they will adapt. They will survive. They will thrive. Some of them might not like it. Some of them might die off initially. But I guarantee the next generation that is born in that tank will have only ever known that water, and they will be used to it from the get-go. That is how they breed. That is how they succeed. If you consistently change water parameters to try and mimic perfect settings, you're going to have fluctuations here and there, and that puts more stress on these shrimp than having water parameters that are not exactly perfect. Keep that in mind. Consistency is more important than getting these correct, quote-unquote, parameters, getting the recommended parameters. Keep that in mind.